All right, everybody, we're here. Notre Dame, Irish Sports Daily, Notre Dame post-game instant reaction show. I'm Greg Flamong. That's Jamie Uyama. It was a Navy game, Jamie. It's a Navy game. Notre Dame wins 35.
This is why you don't play
32.
these guys. It's why you don't play these guys.
Notre Dame wins 35-32. It was something. You know, the first half, they come out and they drive right down the field and score. And they go down and 14-0, 14-6. Middle eight, end of the first half. They get the start to the first half, or they end the first half on 2 touchdowns, looking good. 3 and out, start second half. Jamie, and then the wheels fell off, my man. What? How are you feeling? Let's just get the bird's eye view first, and then we'll get into the specifics. How do you feel right now?
I feel that was the worst half of football for Notre Dame's offense, and I can't even think of it.
I mean, well, so maybe the 2013 USC game when Reese got hurt.
That was like that. Yeah, except for like, and Andrew Hendricks basically had the yips and couldn't throw it.
Yeah.
This was like, I mean, it was a really poor. I mean, I want to get the defense. Let's be honest. The defense played pretty good in the second half. I mean, I know they gave up 19 points, but they basically up until the last drive when they were just they didn't know what Navy was going to run because Navy's never in that situation or whatever.
Yeah.
They still only gave up 4.6 yards per play in the second half, and they literally were on the field the whole time, the entire half, because
right.
They averaged 0.6 yards per play. The offense, and it was. I just thought they just did a horrible job of this team. They basically were like, "Listen, we can't do anything. We're just gonna bring the house on every play."
Yeah,
and Notre Dame was like, "Hey, let's try to max protect, and then." Have Pine hold on to the ball here. I mean, there was a lot of times too. It was on Pine. He obviously missed the one wide open mirror. That was a touchdown, right? That was thing. And he needs to get rid of the ball on a lot of those, but that's who he is. So make those throws easy to him. I thought Tommy Rees did a terrible job in the second half. Get Chris Tyree, leak him out of the backfield. Estime, Diggs, whoever. They weren't peeling off. You could have just flared that guy out all game long. They did it in the first half. Sorry, excuse my voice too, because I'm very sick right now. But that's adding to this. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't know. I they weren't going to run the ball in the second half too, because they literally were just they literally put everybody up on the line. So it was just they could have just ran. Like you mentioned on Twitter too, they had those free access throws. They could have just done that again and again and again and just keep driving on them. And I think it's one thing to be yeah, you know what I mean? I think, there's a lot of games this year too where the previous game, Tommy Rees called a great game against Clemson, right? Mm-hmm. But when you get into this kind of game, you can totally blame Pine is Pine, but you already know who he is. He could have made it real easy for him, and they could have ran those free access throws all game long and just get 5-yard, 6-yard chunks and just kept doing that. And I don't know why.
Yeah, that's what I noticed the same thing. It seemed like right away, they did free access on the first play, and they kept doing that. If you're going to give them free yards, then take it, right? And because it loosens you up, you can't just blitz every play if you're just gonna take the 5 yards all the way. And then they stopped, and look at the story of the first half. They had a bunch of 3rd and longs that they hit deep shots on, and Drew Pine was really good in the first half. I mean, he was right. He hit some digs. He had a dig to Colsey. He had a dig or a deep ball, obviously to Lindsey, where Lindsey's wide open right away, and he hits him. Hits another one to Jaden Thomas over the middle. Like, they hit a few balls that are like, it's like, those are great plays, right? And you think in the back of your mind, like, that's not really sustainable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
like that. I don't know. And then you're trying to do it in the second half as well, and you're not hitting them. And again, I mean, what do you make of the fact? Okay, what do you make of the fact that Notre Dame couldn't run the ball in this game?
Oh,
I mean, was
totally.
it a?
I don't even think it's I mean, some of it is execution or whatever, but literally they're just shooting gaps. They're just
Right.
blitzing everybody and shooting gaps. And what they needed to do is they should just down blocked and ran it outside. Either that or, and there was a lot of times too where this was like a perfect game to be like, give Pine on the keep, because they were selling out hard. And just the whole game, they just had more guys than Notre Dame. And that's just basically that's how Navy has played all year. So that was the main thing. So you're going to do that. But the counter to that is they're selling out. So literally just leak out a back like they scored with Estemi, and like they scored with Tyree on those. Like, literally just do that. You could do that all game. Really.
Yeah.
And you do that all game until they stop blitzing, literally bringing 7 guys on each thing. And that's just how it is. And so that was the main thing.
It was strange. I mean, because you're sitting there and you're thinking, like, they're blitzing, and it's like they just kept, like, Notre Dame just kept adding a blocker to, it's like, oh, okay, like if they're blitzing us with 6, okay, we'll block with 7. And then they would blitz with more than that. And it's like, okay, well, then we'll block with X, and like they kept adding blockers instead of like adding like threats to them to get them out of that blitz, And so obviously you get bogged down, right? And then you have the one where you have Mayer running free and he misses him. So I don't know. It's really hard to talk about like anything in the first half because it's like everything is so colored by how the game ended. Because you're talking about like the defense, right? And on a per play basis, the defense did play really well. But like super leaky. Like I'm like not a good game for the defensive backs in terms of just like coverage and that sort of thing.
Like angles and stuff on the pitch.
Angles were bad. That wasn't good. Like Cam got lost on a play. Mickey got lost on a play. Who was it at the other one? I'm thinking like TJ Brown's got a bunch of holding calls. And the thing is, like,
the second one was a bad call.
The second one was kind of shaky, but the other one, like, he is holding.
The other one was
like
obvious.
You are holding.
Yeah.
And it's like in the end zone, like, and you're there. Like, you don't need to be. It's just like I don't want to say it's bad coaching because like he's an older player, he should know better. But it's like, so there's that part of it too.
I mean, they definitely missed JD Bertrand. As soon as that happened, I was like, "Oh crap!" Like that's not.
Well, yeah, like that's a big loss. I mean, that's part of it, right? But I thought like there was some playmaking there. Like I thought Prince Colley made some plays in this game. He made a good amount of plays. I thought Xavier Watts played a really good football game in terms of the tackling. He missed some, but I mean that's going to happen when you get a bunch of reps against Navy. You're going to miss some. I thought he made some really good plays. What did you think of the explosives that Notre Dame was giving up? In the first half, they had that really big run. At the end of the game, Notre Dame's sitting there in 3 down. I could not believe it, Jamie. Navy, they're in 3 down. Notre Dame is in 3 down, and not just that, but the ends are like in not a in a 4-eye, I think is what you call it. They're not in there. Like they're way outside. Like they're going to come rush the passer. And Notre Dame or Navy just doing the fullback dive, and they're gashing them. You got the backers like 8 yards deep. I could not believe that.
I don't get that. I don't get why they just didn't come out when they're like the base. If they want to play nickel,
Right.
fine. But they just
It's Navy. It's not
that
like
didn't
it's not.
that didn't make any sense to me. Because then they just took those yards and whatever. It did take a lot of time, and it took probably too much time for Navy. But like it was dumb. It was that was dumb.
If it's okay, it's a running play, right? And you say, okay, well, we'll take it. Well, if it's 12 yards, what's the difference between that and a 12-yard slant or a 12-yard
no
dig?
difference.
There's no difference. It's all the same. So I didn't understand that. You're literally just giving it away. So that wasn't good. But okay, you take away the pass defense stuff, and then in the run game, you had a few explosives with the fullback. But beyond that, they did really well. Okay.
Yeah, I think whatever. Like, if you think whatever, I saw some people like, man, they suck at adjustments, or whatever. I was like, I mean, you could say that about the offense in this game, I guess, right? But like the defense, I think they adjusted pretty good. Like that fullback counter, like that obviously killed them in the first half, and then they got nothing on that. They got stuffed repeatedly on that. So I think they did a good job adjusting to it. In the second half. And if you think about it, like the one drive that took 10 minutes, they got a field goal. Like that was like a couple penalties that ended up like, kind of killed them on that drive. And then, and
that's a win for the defense, by the way.
Yeah. And then it was like the sudden change, right? And then sudden change, right? And then the one at the end. So I think whatever defensively, I thought they made some good adjustments in the second half. But like, for the offense to just be like impotent, like they couldn't do anything. Like that was horrible. I don't even know. Like, I understand like it was a long time since they had played or whatever, but I think like there was like an idea, and I don't know if this was, I mean, we don't know how much like Freeman was like, hey, run the ball and like, let's just end this game. Like, I don't think that, first of all, I just think that was just the dumbest thing, especially when you were like, first down, you get a sack, 2nd and 15, run. What? Like, what is this?
Well, it's like, just go outside, go out, like do a quick access. Like, I don't understand. And then you get it. And so it's 3rd and 17, and then you do it and you get 7 yards. It's like, well, now it's 3rd and 17.
If you do that, then you have a chance on 3rd down. Right. If you do it on 2nd down, you have a chance on 3rd down. So,
so the other part too is like this. So they had a drive where it was, 1st and 10. You do a quick access to Mayer, right? 6-yard gain, and then you have a run for 2, run for 0, and you got a punt. And it's like, why'd you go away from it? And it's funny too. Like when I play defense, my coach is always like, hey, we're going to give up this 5-yard out or whatever. We're going to give it up. And we'd always say, like, why do you give it up? They could just do it all the way down the field. And he's like, they won't. And we're like, what do you mean? It's like, no one ever will. They'll never. No one does. They don't. No one has the discipline. Just take it all the way down the field. Right. They never do it. And they never did. And Notre Dame didn't do it in this instance.
And you want to know why Tom Brady is literally like the GOAT guy? Because he would take that the whole time and just do it all over again. And that's why he's the GOAT, because he's like, you gonna give me this? Okay, I'll take it free. Like, that's literally what Tom Brady has done this whole time. And like, this was a game too, where like, obviously in the first half, Pine had, a big time game, but even on that Lindsey throw, which was, I mean, a phenomenal catch. It sucks that the catch is going to get lost in the second half performance, because it was just, what a catch, but he was running wide open. It was a bad throw. Yeah, it was a bad throw. Like, as good as the throw to Jaden Thomas was for the touchdown, that's how bad the throw to Lindsey was, right? Like, and I don't know, like Pine had, and even if you look, there was like another like free access one where he almost threw it into the stands that Lindsey went up and got too. Can this guy catch a freaking break? Like, give this guy a chance to get something after the catch. Like,
on his touchdown, he's open by like 5 yards.
Yeah,
he's wide open. Thomas Nicorado. I played for Temple City High School and Long Beach City College. That's where I played. So, okay. This is why I want to say too about the game just in general. throw it in the garbage. It doesn't, who cares? It's Navy. It's the game everyone hates. The players hate it. The coaches hate it. The fans hate it. No one likes this game. Okay. No one likes to play it. Okay. Because of what it is. There's nothing to take away from it for the defense. There's literally nothing. They're never going to see it again. That's when I'm watching the game, I think it doesn't even matter. Just win. I don't even care. It's not important. Win the game and move on with your day in your life and all that stuff, because it's just there's no takeaway from it for the defense. And it's almost even the case that way for the offense too. It was nice to see some passes and that sort of thing. Like, I don't think that this doesn't make me think anything about Boston College. It doesn't make me think anything about USC. I don't think anything about it. It's just you gotta move on. It's not a game they should be playing, in my opinion. I mean, we've all gone over it before. Like, I don't like the game, and people have a sensitivity towards the tradition and all that sort of thing. I understand, but like, if that's going to be the case, like everyone is in the chat mad, right? Why are they mad? Because it's a game that why didn't we look better? Why didn't we do this? Like, it's not a game. Like, it's a game that no one wants to play in. The team doesn't want to play in it, and everyone's mad about the game and how it went. It's like, really, we should just move on from it, because it doesn't help Notre Dame do anything. It doesn't help them during the year. It doesn't help them build on things. It doesn't help. Period. So that's kind of.
I mean, that's kind of way. I mean, you can, and I think that certainly from the defensive standpoint, because you're never going to see a thing like 100% makes sense. That makes sense. Like, you watch the film, but it's like, I mean, it's important to watch the film, but it's not like you're not playing your defense when you're doing this. So it's not the same. Now, the offense, on the other hand, is obviously, I mean, you got to take a deep look at the second half and how you did this, and what's going on there. And obviously too, like, some of it is the quarterback and whatever, but you have to look at what you didn't do in the second half, I mean, hold on a second. Let me look at the thing here. Did they get us the second half? They had one first down, one the whole entire time. Like,
it was bad. It was not a good, it was just the plan. Like we've been saying, the plan.
And they had great field position.
Right.
That was the other thing. It was like Navy kind of gave them great field position a bunch of times.
I just where's threaten them horizontal? You know what I mean? Like, we don't have a jet. We don't have a jet. Like, you can't run a jet.
They literally don't have the speed. They don't have the speed. You see them not running in coverage. So
right.
I don't understand why they didn't do that.
Right. Take the game out of. They want to play in that little.
They want to play tight.
They wanted to
play.
That's what
they want to play tight. They want to send more bodies there than you can block, and they wanted to play tight, and they want to do that. And all you had to do was just the beginning of the game plan was good. Bubbles, those quick screens. Why'd you go away from it?
Yeah.
I don't understand. It wasn't like they did anything to take it away either.
Right. Right. Like, you had 35 points. You were moving the ball up and down the field. It had nothing to do. They took nothing away from you. And then it was just, we're either running inside or we're going to try to take a shot. And it's and then they started blitzing everybody. I mean, that was their last gasp. That was their last gasp, Navy's. It's we're just going to send heat, the whole thing. If this doesn't work, we're going to give up 100. And then it happened to work. And then Notre Dame didn't adjust to it.
I mean, the 1.9 yards per carry, that's with the sacks. So you got to realize too that those sacks or whatever, I mean, it wasn't good. 3.3 is not good, but that is but it's obviously different, but still that's why you couldn't, they always had a guy They always had somebody getting penetration, or they had somebody coming off the edge in this game, and it actually was a lot like that Marshall game,
Yeah.
where there was a lot of that, and I was like, you got to counter that. You got to counter that. It was not a good game for Tommy Rees. It was not.
No. Just
Or
some
second half wasn't good. I mean, the first half was fine, but
just some updates here. So Tobias Merriweather had a concussion. So he was out. That's why he was out. So they're hopeful for him next week. JD Bertrand says it was a groin area injury. I don't know what that means. Maybe an adductor or something like that. So they're hopeful that both will be back next week. So that's that, right? Notre Dame blocks another punt. Unbelievable. It's just going to be every week. That's great. Let's block a punt every week. That leads to points. That's really good. So I don't know, Jamie. What do you? Like I said, it's hard. It's hard to look at the first half and really break it down because of what happened in the second. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and I don't know. I felt like it was a weird game. So you know how last week it was the whole thing was going around with Bud Elliott was saying the game flow kind of helped Notre Dame in the game against Clemson. Like I kind of felt that way in the first half, because obviously they start the game really well. But like I felt like Navy could move the ball. They would make little mistakes, and just like like Navy's got to be looking at this game thinking, man, I can't believe Drew Pine like made those passes against us, because he couldn't do it. Like he didn't do it against Stanford.
He literally hasn't done it.
He hasn't done it in any
month.
game. And they were probably thinking like, man, we need him to like make him make these plays, like get him in these spots, and he won't do it. And then he did it in the first half, and then he couldn't do it in the second half. And that's when like they came back. And so they got to be really feeling like, man, we could have won this game. Drew Pine just had like a really good first half. And that cost them, because they had a good plan. I mean, you look at like Navy's plan going into it. It's like, we're going to bottle up the run. We're going to outnumber them. And then we're going to make Drew Pine make throws. And he did. Right. Like Jaden Thomas, the throw. I mean, that's darn near a one touch. That's a one-hander. That's almost like a one-hand catch, right? So that's a great play. Obviously, Lindsey made a great play. And then, I thought Reese had some wrinkles in the first half with some of the stuff he did, like leaking out Tyree. We haven't seen that all year. He got that going. He had a couple formations that I thought looked a little bit different. And then in the second half, it all just kind of fell apart from there. I don't know, Jamie. I mean, first half, what did you see there?
Yeah, I thought the first half, he called a good game in the first half. Like, because they could have decided to try to force it by running the ball, and they didn't. And they took what was there. And that was the main thing. They took what was there, and they took advantage of those situations. And then maybe just because of the long break or whatever, they just got off rhythm. But like, you look at, first of all, is there ever been a more misleading thing? Like 17-21 for Pine, right? 81 completion percentage, 269, right? 4 touchdowns, right? But like, and he got another tip again too. So that's another thing too, where you look at like those tips. He's obviously gotten the ball tipped a lot, right? Like, the ball's been tipped a lot.
So we got a Dan Orlovsky. He's in on Twitter right now talking about how people are wide open. You got to get the ball out.
It's true.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other part of it too, is like, we've talked about, how many times have we talked about this, Jamie, where the plays themselves are fine, but they can't get executed. And it's like, do you have to then, so like Tommy Rees then has to call a play other than the one that he knows will work, right? Like if you have the ball and you're holding the ball and he's not seeing where the ball is supposed to go and he's not reading it correctly, it's it's like he has to call 2 good plays instead of just the one. You know what I mean? Like it's like I have what I want to run, and then I have what I should run based on what I have at quarterback. And so that's kind of like the tightrope that he has to walk there. Because you see it a few times, right, where it's like, get the ball out, right? Like you set your foot, and it's like, get it out. Like, where's it going? But he holds it, the hand goes down, or the head goes down, and it gets messed up from there. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just like without watching the game, like without watching the tape, and you don't see what's going on in the back end, you're not really sure. You're not really sure what it's kind of like, what it's supposed to look like, or what's there and what's being missed and that sort of thing. So
I think the one play though that really sticks out, there was a one sack where he had Styles in the crosser, and you just got to get rid of the ball. Like that was it, just because he's looking downfield trying to make the big play, and in that play, and yeah, it's short of the sticks, whatever, but that's where you make that throw, and you just like, if Styles gets tackled, so be it, whatever, right? But you got to get rid of the ball there. You just have to. Like, there has to be an internal clock there.
Yeah.
And
so Sean Kennedy, and this isn't to call you out or anything. It's just I want to talk about the comment is like, since stop calling plays your guys can't execute at this point, you should know what Pine can do, make an adjustment. So here's the problem with that is if it was like call plays that like the guys can't execute, then none of those touchdowns get called in the first half. Like all the success Notre Dame had in the first half doesn't come because you're not calling any of those plays, because we don't think you can execute them, right? Like we've seen them not. And so that's the issue is like, you have plays that you can run. Navy, every team that beat Navy this year beat Navy doing exactly what Notre Dame did in the first half. Navy has stopped the run on every single team, 3.1 yards per carry on the year. They've done that. They give up 300 yards a game in the air. Why is that? Because they can't cover in the back. And so every team has exploited this, every single one. So that's where you say, like, you got to be able to do it, and you got to put them in good positions. And they did in the first half. They put guys in position to make plays, and they did. Second half, they tried to do the same thing, and they didn't. And that's where it's like, okay, we have to now go back to do something else other than what we feel like can work. And the other problem is that how many plays did they run in the second half? Like 20? I mean, they didn't really have the ball.
It's like, not even, I don't think.
If you can't get any first downs, then how can you build on anything? You cannot build.
They did. Play
over play. Yeah, it's 20, but 2 of those are kneel downs. So it's 18 real plays where you're actually trying to do anything. So you can't build on anything when you can't even get one first down. That's the problem. And so you call a play. It's like, look, I have a good opener on first down that I like. Go play action. Guy running wide open. Quarterback doesn't throw it. He gets sacked. Well, now you're 2nd and 17, and now you're in a real bad way. Here's a question from Chris. How can they run all over Clemson but not Navy? What's the difference?
It's what they're doing on defense. It's the reason why. I mean, he averaged 12.8 yards per attempt throwing the ball.
Yeah.
They sell out. They literally like put everybody up there. And Clemson, I mean, as much as they're, they did load the box. It wasn't like they didn't load the box, but they weren't doing that as much. They weren't bringing everybody up as much and bringing so many different guys off the edge as much, and like and shooting gaps as much. They weren't, because they don't because they usually don't have to, because they usually have a dude who can just like, beat a guard and just kick that guy's butt and then make a play. And they didn't against Notre Dame. So it's like, it's different. And then also some of the stuff that Reese was doing in this game, that they did a little bit of different stuff too, but really, like, it was what they needed to do was they needed to just keep throwing and keep literally just like doing, I mean, literally taking those easy perimeter plays
Yeah.
as much as
Yeah.
possible, or like even doing some of the just more of the angle route stuff where they're just like attacking the middle of the field, like, and just throwing that and not having it like it doesn't even have to be like those deep shots to Thomas, right?
Uh, Flying V, Jamie, I know you can appreciate that.
The Mighty
Nate
Ducks.
said Navy basically ran a flying V into the middle every time. It's true, they did.
I mean, it wasn't far off.
It wasn't that far off. So, so here's the other problem, right? So we talk about how many times have we spoken about like Notre Dame needs to be a better RPO team. You need to be a better RPO team, right? Well, what happens then is if you're not a great RPO team and getting the ball out in bubbles and that sort of thing and putting the ball in and pulling and throwing it out there, if you don't do it a lot, now it's game 9 and you're not very good at it, right? You haven't been doing that. So you're not going to be at like an option team, right? If you don't run a lot of option and then you need to run a lot of option in week 10 or week 9 or whatever it is, you're not going to be as good as if it was part of your game plan all the time. And that's the problem for Notre Dame is like, it's if it's there, you're going to run it, but you're not going to run it to its maximum. And then when you really need it, you're doing other things because it's like, well, I don't know. We don't really run that. Right. And that's the bind you get yourself into, right? Is when you have something that's there and you need to go to it, you can't. And that was the problem Notre Dame ran into today. Ebenezer Gatsby asks, why does Pine absolutely refuse to take the check down? It's infuriating. There was one play specifically just top of mind where he tried to force one over the middle to Thomas and it was incomplete in the end zone. And he has Estime like, just swing it to him, man. just swing it to him and let him do something in the open field. I don't know. I don't know.
It's
the 9th game or the 10th game. I don't even know what
it's pretty
say.
obvious like, he's not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, he could, I guess. I mean, because the funny thing too is like he had that one great play against BYU where he flipped it to Estime, and then he jumps over the player.
Yeah,
and that was a great play. 100% has a question. What do you think Pine's problems are more physical or mental? I think it is the mental that is the real problem. What do you think, Jamie?
Yeah, I think it's more mental. Like you see, the guy can make throws. He can make throws. He can make plays with his feet. He's capable enough to do it. Like, he made some good throws in this game.
Yeah,
some really good throws. Yeah, I don't think it's physical at all with him. Like, I mean, he's obviously not like Justin Herbert. Like, he's not some physical freak or whatever. He's got a laser attached to his arm or anything like that. But like, he's not Drake May, but he's capable, physically capable.
Right.
So I think it is just like how, like, one of the things with Ian Book was where he was the guy who, like, if he wouldn't even a lot of times too, if it just got down to it, he wouldn't even go to his second read. He'd just be like, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm getting out. Or for whatever reason, Ian Book, I have no idea why this ever happened. He'd scramble for a sack and not throw the ball away. And I was always like, why did he do it? I don't know. That's just something that happened with him. And he had it in his head because he was probably always trying to make a play or whatever. Right. And then he just ran out of space. But
I mean, it's processing, they're not processing the information quick enough. CFB Hertz asks, do you guys have any thoughts why Pine wouldn't just throw it up for grabs? The receivers proved that they can win 50-50 balls. At some point, doesn't Reese just tell him to throw a jump ball no matter what?
I mean, he did throw up 50-50 like that. I mean,
I think he means it. I think because it's in the context of the second half where he's holding the ball and he's not getting rid of it. I think that's what he's referring to.
You know what? I don't know because it's tough to say because obviously Orlovsky's calling the game. His vantage point, he sees somebody running open, right? We don't see it. And I don't know what it is with, but you know, a lot of times the ball has to get out, like it's timing wise, and the timing has just been off on the deep ball with him. That's why like that throw to Thomas was so good, because it was like, oh, that was like perfectly timed when he threw
Yeah.
that ball. But
Yeah.
you don't see a lot of those throws from him.
Right. All right. I'm going to merge two comments here in one. So David Rivas asks, you have to ask at a certain point, is he being coached up on all the misreads? Assuming he is, where's the accountability? And then I'm going to kind of merge that with 100% here. Because he had a follow up. Then why are we not talking about Reese, the quarterback coach, with Pine's mental issues? So for me, I was it, I don't know, was it post Stanford or what game it was? I put out a tweet that was like, Reese, the play caller, is a different discussion than Reese, the quarterback coach, developer, recruiter, that sort of thing. I think if it's a play caller, I think he's good. I think he's a good play caller. And he's a good like game planner and a good schemer and all those things. And that's where the formations come up and the shifts, right? Like that's where that comes in. I think there's he for whatever reason, like Ian Book never got to the point where it's like I can process really quickly. And Drew Pine is now in his third year and he can't process really quickly, and they're having the same problem. And he did have Jack Cohn, and I thought Jack Cohn was better in this area. But then again, Jack Cohn wasn't recruited by Reese or developed by Reese, frankly. Like he showed up as a fifth-year senior guy, right? So, I mean, to me, this is a good point. And if Reese is around next year, I really do think, there was a discussion about the bringing in an analyst or whoever to kind of work with the quarterbacks. I think they need to do that. I think that is an absolute must, because I just think you need to maximize that position more than any other position on the football team. You need to maximize that position, and right now Notre Dame is not. And so that's how I feel about it. Do you have a different kind of take or?
No, I think that's fair, because I think one of the things, and not even just talking about the guy who's starting and playing and getting all the reps, but like, it's the time when that guy's not the starter and getting all the development. And that's like when you really need, like, that's the development, right? You need that time. And there's got to be guys who make like big improvements during that time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know we haven't really seen that from too many quarterbacks. And I don't know I think you could say, like, if you look at quarterbacks around college football, you'd say like, oh yeah, like there are guys like who are worse that you don't watch on a regular basis.
We follow Notre Dame. Yes. We don't follow other programs.
Yeah. And so that's like part of it. That's part of it. But like, they just haven't had, they haven't had a guy that that has got it all figured out. And they haven't had a guy who's like, oh, this guy's going to play in the NFL, because he's got not just the physical tools, but he's got the mental tools, and they just haven't had that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. John Amberg made a comment that I was just thinking, so this is a good job by him. We can't forget that Blake Grupe has missed a field goal in each of the last 4 games. I did not expect him to make that, and he did not.
I thought he was going to miss it too, because he's missed a bunch.
Yeah, he's missed them. That's a good point. There's no.
He's not kicking well. Even on, that's when you can really see it on extra points, because when you see like extra points, because that was always when I was like, oh, this is going to be a bad John Doerr game, because you're like, he was like way like whoa, that barely squeaked in on an extra point. And like groupies, that's how the extra points have looked lately. So yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm not a kicking expert, so I don't know what it is, but he hasn't been good. He definitely has not been good. And it's also just a reminder too, that you kind of like, everybody gets spoiled, because Justin Yoon was just so consistent. He was so consistent for so long. He was like an 80% guy his whole career. And then really too, like Doerr, was kind of close to that too. It was like not quite as good as you, like just in consistency wise, but he always made the clutch ones.
Yeah.
And Groupie, like I mean, I don't think anyone, if like Notre Dame's going down to kick a field goal to win a game, that anyone would feel like, oh man, this is going to be made. Like I don't think anyone has that confidence right now. He just hasn't kicked that well.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess someone made the point like they shouldn't anything over 40 yards they shouldn't kick. I do think Notre Dame's kind of to that point, and I don't remember what it was specifically when they brought him out in terms of like what the yardage was, but I did wonder. I wonder if they're just going to go for this because what was it, a 44-yarder or something like that, 45-yarder? I just thought I wonder if they're going to just go for it because
I thought they should have went for it.
Well, they were moving the ball really well, but yeah, I don't know. It's difficult to kind of reconcile, I guess. Like it's just, I don't know. And like the one against Clemson, like it's coming out like this way. It's not going like that. You know what I mean? And like, I understand it was windy, but it's just kind of like, okay, the ball still can.
I mean, I think he just hasn't. I mean, even before then, he hasn't kicked it just hasn't kicked the ball that well. He just hasn't.
All right, we saw a lot of Junior Tulialamaka in this game. We saw a lot of Prince Collie. What did you think of those guys? It's just top of mind. I mean, I don't remember Junior like really flashing or anything like that. But just for you, like what did you think of those guys?
I mean, yeah, that was the one thing with Junior. He just wasn't around the ball that much.
Yeah,
like I just didn't think I always think like if they're running a dive, I mean that Mike linebacker's got to be all over it, right? And he just wasn't. And I mean it's tough. I mean he's a true freshman. He's being put into this situation. I think they thought JD Bertrand was going to maybe go up until late. So I think that, ended up being kind of how it was. So, yeah.
You know what? I mean, Sneed, what did you see? Of a sudden, like he's out there.
I was shocked that he got it in.
I saw him on one. It was he was lined up at like corner.
Yeah.
I was like, what are we doing? What's going on here?
I don't know what was going on there. I mean, I'll have to go back and rewatch kind of like his reps and stuff. Yeah. He did make one nice tackle on the quarterback one time, but like
he did.
I mean, he's an athlete, but I don't think he is. From what I've heard, he's not like definitely hasn't grasped the whole defense yet. Right. So, but I mean, he's probably a guy who probably has played against the option a lot in high school.
Yeah.
So that's maybe why he got, he got involved in this game. Cully, I thought looked the best out of them all.
Yeah.
Especially just because Cully can. This is the kind of game too. Whenever it's on the perimeter, he can just run it down. He's just faster than those other guys. So he's like, he made just a lot of a lot of plays just doing that too. Like,
yeah.
So yeah,
Eric,
I think
Jalen Sneed's number 17, by the way.
Yes.
Eric Ward's asking, so
I'm
answering that. I can't. Jay said made the comment 5 yards in the second half against Navy is horrendous. I don't care if it's Navy or if it's Alabama or Michigan or whoever. I do not care. 5 yards in the second half. Come on, man.
Against anyone, it's bad.
It's the 10th game. You cannot have 5 yards in the second half. That's awful. That is abysmal, right? Yes, Drunk Vigo. It was Salerno who recovered the onside kick at the end. And he was put the game on the shoulders of Brian Mason, Jamie, and it's a lock every single time. So, all right, man.
Think about that one stretch where they blocked the punt and they also got the pick.
Blocked the punt, got the pick.
That's the reason they won the game.
That's why they won the game. That's right. It was what was it was 21. That's right. It was 21-13. Missed the extra point. Or I'm sorry, missed the field goal, get the pick, score, block the punt, score, game. ball game. Let's see. Rajon, are Navy fans pissed about clock management? I don't think Navy fans are really in a place to be pissed about anything, frankly.
I think they were just happy they were in the game.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a fun time. We were getting beat. They're 3-6. It's I don't think it's I don't think the Navy instant reaction post game show is like, oh, Ken, what's up with the clock management? Because it's just like the offense is the offense. That's the problem, right? If you're going to be down 35-13 or whatever it was, like that's not a good situation. So if it was Notre Dame, I'd be so to Rajon's point. If it was Notre Dame, I'd be pretty upset because that takes forever and all those other things. But yeah,
I think though that I'm like almost every year I've seen they take timeouts. They I don't think Ken Niumatalolo is known for like holding on to timeouts. Like I think he's like, oh, we're not in a play we like, or we didn't like this look. Call it a timeout. Like I think that's what I think he does that a lot. So like two timeouts on the opening drive of the second half. Like what? Like why? Like it didn't really seem they need to, but that's what happened.
Yeah, agree. All right. That's what do you say, Jamie? We want to call it?
Sure.
We'll call it. We'll have a call it. Let's go enjoy our Saturdays. I think that's wrapped it up for today. I think we got to marinate on this one a little bit. So, as a reminder, thank you everyone for tuning in. Hit subscribe, hit the like. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning doing my morning after recap. See if we feel a little bit different. We got to dive into some numbers here and try to make sense of what happened in this game. So, thank you everyone for tuning in. Like I said, tomorrow morning, 11:30 Eastern. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 9:30 Eastern. That's 11:30 is our hit and hustle time. 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. I'll be here doing a show. Me and Jamie are going to be doing our weekly shows Tuesday and Thursday, talking about Boston College, recapping this game a little bit. And I don't know about next week, Jamie, because I think I might be in South Bend. South Bend for the game. It's going to be a good time. So I appreciate everyone for being on the show. Feel better. 7-3. It's all good. Okay, Pops. Yeah. Sounds good to me, guys. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. And we'll talk to you soon.